Struggling to get the most out of your ads? Most dealers who tell me Facebook ads don't work are normally doing them wrong. So today, I'm going to show you how to do them right. Welcome back to our digital marketing series here at Manheim UK. I'm Jim, and today we're tackling Meta Business Suite, or commonly known as Meta Ad Suite. Now, there's a big difference between boosting a post and running a proper ad campaign. Most people tend to just simply boost a post. Boosting is quick, it's easy, but it really gives you very little control over who sees it. On the flip side, running a campaign through Meta Ads Manager means you can target exactly the right buyers in the right location with the right vehicle or message. So before you guys get started, there are a couple of essentials that you will have to have in place to make sure you can run your ads effectively. That being setting up the account, making sure there's a method to pay on there, and making sure your business portfolio is all aligned. We will drop some guides in the description below to help you on this if you're not so sure. Okay, the first thing that you'll see when you open up your account will be your account overview dashboard. Now, a quick overview of this. When you hit Meta Business Suite, you do get a large number of different options. We want to be going into the ads account section. That will give you the account overview, campaigns, ads reporting, and so on and so forth. For just clarity, this is where you want to start. Now, your overview tends to be quite dynamic, so it changes quite a lot depending on what you've got going on. Let's not go into that section in too much detail at the moment. Just a quick overview that this is where you should be when you start. So when it comes to creating a new campaign, the first thing you should be doing, believe it or not, is create campaign. So click and create campaign. And then immediately you'll be given a little bit of a wizard and the guidance of what objective you want to achieve. So keeping with the buying time auction, you'll be given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different objectives. As a quick overview, awareness will teach Meta to try and get as many eyes as possible onto your ads. Traffic aims to get as many website visitors to your website. Engagement is there to help you increase likes, shares, native engagement on Meta, on Facebook, on Instagram. Leads is designed to increase customer inquiries. App promotion is there if you have an app and you want to boost that. And sales is mainly for e-commerce. So when it comes to starting out on Meta ads, whether it's Instagram ads, Facebook ads, or even WhatsApp, my recommendation would be to try out the traffic or the engagement campaigns. Remember, when it comes to Meta ads, a lot of it is learning, testing again. So you can always start with these types of campaigns and then you can move forward should you want to be a little bit more adventurous. So let's start with a traffic campaign. So what we do is click traffic and then we'll hit continue. Now immediately you'll be given two options here. Now Meta is getting really good at giving you much more accurate guidance, particularly when you're just starting out. If you are an absolute veteran when it comes to Meta advertising, you obviously can go down the route of a manual traffic campaign. This gives you much finer control over everything. However, when you're just starting out or you just need to do something quickly, the tailored web traffic campaign is also really useful to get the best out of it. Okay, so once you've decided on your campaign objective, you'll be taken to the next screen. As we mentioned, we picked tailored web traffic campaign, and this gives you a huge list of different options to help you tailor that campaign. Now remember, the cool thing about Meta, that being Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, and if you really want it, WhatsApp advertising, it's all about the targeting and it's all about those finer details. So this is a really good place to pay attention. Self-explanatory, the first thing we would do is we would set up our campaign name. So name this whatever you want. So we can call it My New Campaign. Now we're going to skip A/B testing for now, but we may come back to it in a different video. A key one here is special ad categories. Now, special ad categories is if you work in a regulated environment. So if you're promoting financial products or particular housing and social issues, you need to declare that at this point. And then one of the more important ones that I'm sure you guys will be keen to understand is daily budget and schedule. Now, your option for budgeting is split into two. You've an option for daily budget or you've got an option for lifetime budget. Daily budget, exactly as it sounds, tells Meta how much you would want to spend on this advertiser campaign per day. Once you've set that, Meta will then aim for that. So don't expect, for example, if you put in £20 a day for it to get bang on £20. Sometimes it will be more and sometimes it could be less. It will always iron out over a period of 1 month. Now, when it comes to starting out new campaigns, don't think you need to put hundreds of pounds into a campaign. You can get a lot of data and a lot of results by small fry spend. So let's just start with £10 a month for this. Alternatively, you could use your lifetime budget. So lifetime budget is the total amount you would like to spend over the period of that entire campaign. Now, my recommendation when you're first starting out would be to use daily budget. The reason being, it gives you much more flexibility and it gives you much more control when it comes to adjusting these minor nuances and minor budget changes as you go through that campaign. The next point would be the schedule. So obviously you pick your start date and pick your end date. Now, top tip, make sure you set an end date. So tick the end date and identify it. There is nothing worse than getting the bill 6 months after the campaign has ended. Finally, if you want to really go into it, you can schedule the specifics of when budgets will increase and when they will drop. However, at this particular time, I wouldn't recommend. I would just let Meta do the business. Okay, the next key point is audience. And as I've mentioned, the real advantage when it comes to Meta business ads is all about the targeting. So this is where you can really make the most of it. Now, you've got a couple of options here. We'll start with the basics, which is location, age, and gender. So again, top tip, make sure the location is set to where you are based. Now, you've got a couple of options to really refine here. You can obviously pick country, that being United Kingdom. Please don't pick a country where you're not actually based, but you can also include rather specific locations. So for example, I could add Leeds and it will refine Leeds. As you can see, there are lots of Leeds, so make sure you pick the Leeds that is relevant to you. You can include these or exclude them should you wish. In addition, if you really wanted to, you could add a particular mile vicinity. So for example, if you've got a dealership, you could say, okay, I only want to target people within 20 miles of my particular dealership. Next one is age demographic. So make sure, depending on what kind of audience you are looking for, you define the age. So you would define the minimum age up to the maximum. And then should you need to differentiate it in particular, you can pick gender. Okay, so the real nitty gritty comes down to what we call Advantage or Advantage Plus and detailed targeting. So this is where Meta really takes shape. Now, lots of people think when it comes to paid advertising that it's like Google, where you would put in a word that you want people to search for and then you would advertise should they search for that word. Meta is slightly different. The way Meta targets people is based on the demographics, the interests, and the categories and behaviors that you want your ads to be seen in. Now, there are tons and tons of options, and it's really, really easy, particularly when you get started, to fill out a really, really detailed amount of targeting. I wouldn't recommend you do this. The more targeting and the more you drill down into a particular audience, the smaller that audience is, and therefore that means it can become slightly more expensive. So when you're just getting started, just pick a couple, maybe up to 3 that you think are relevant to your target audience. Now, you've got tons of options. So you've got demographics, and you can go down the route, for example, here of educational, financial, life events such as anniversaries, date of birth, birthdays, etc. You've got interests. Now, interest is absolutely massive, and don't be shy to search a couple of specifics, but they go into hobbies, shopping, fashion, particular car brands. You can even get to the point of adding in a particular film that you would want to be relevant, that would be relevant to your advertising. And finally, the behaviors are how people use the tools. So how people use Instagram, how people use Facebook. Do they buy online? Do they predominantly use it on a mobile device? Do they use it when they're abroad? So as you can see, you can really drill down into those details. So let's just put a couple in here. So let's just put in Ford. So cars, so interest. So straight away, I want to be target people interested in Ford Mustang. So that's a really good one. Okay. Then immediately I want to see, let's have a look at demographics. So I'm aiming to target people who from a life event point have just moved away from home. So they're thinking they're treating themselves. So let's bang that one in as well. And finally, let's add a behavior. So within purchase, engaged shoppers, so people who like to browse online, like to do some shopping online. So of course, these are just examples. I do recommend you take a little bit of time to do some research to make sure it meets what your audience is. Okay, now you do have an option if you wish to define further. Defining further, again, as I've mentioned, can start to shrink the audience size. Now that might seem tempting because it makes it feel like you've got a really, really well-targeted campaign. You're going to get the right place, the right people, the right time. However, as I've mentioned, the smaller that audience, the less Meta has to work with. What I would recommend is to give Meta a little bit of flexibility. Meta ads work by giving it that space to use the algorithm and use the AI to learn who your audience is and then pick up the details from there. So for now, let's leave that one. Okay, so once you've got your audience, if you want to save it for the future, you can save your audience, you can name it whatever you like. That becomes handy when you want to create new campaigns very quickly. Okay, ad transparency is very, very important, particularly when you become larger. It's simple. All you need to do is make sure that you've selected a particular verified advertiser, but when you're just getting started, I wouldn't worry about it at that point. And partnership ads, just for everyone's info, is if you are working with creators, influencers who are promoting your brand. In theory, what you should be doing is making sure that that transparency is there. Identity is pretty obvious. If you have a Facebook page, add your Facebook page. The same for an Instagram profile and a Threads profile should you have them. If you don't have them, you don't need to add them. Then we come to ad setup. The way that you win when it comes to paid advertising, particularly on social media these days, is attention-grabbing creative. So the ad setup and what the ad creative looks like is critical. These days you have 1 second, maybe 2 seconds if you're lucky, to grab your audience's attention. So making sure you've got very eye-catching, very striking creative is absolutely critical. So let's just go into some examples of how we do it. So you've got an option here. You've got the option to create an ad. You can use an existing post if you've had some success on posts you've put on your Facebook page, or now Meta gives you the option of using the Creative Hub Mockup, which is a tool where you can create ads within it. But for now, let's just create the regular ads. So we've added the ad, and then you've got options on the type of ad that you can pick. So you can make it quite flexible. Flexible gives Meta the freedom to change your creative based on the user's preferences. So it can make videos for you, it can change images into reels, etc. Single image or video sounds exactly as it is, which is you can choose. And carousel is where you would add a selection of images into a more engaging piece that someone can scroll through. So for now, let's just pick single image. Now, destination is where you would add your website. You don't need to do this, but if you want, for example, to get more traffic to your website, you should be telling Meta what your website address is. All you would do is add in www.mywebsite.com, and now it's telling Meta exactly what it should be promoted to people. The display link is slightly different. At this point, let's just ignore that for now. It's a little bit more advanced. And browser add-ons are additional components that you can add to your ads to help people engage with them a little bit better. So for example, if you wanted to increase phone calls, you could add a phone number to it. If you wanted WhatsApps, you could add your WhatsApp number to it. And if you wanted, you could also use the instant form tool should you not have forms on your website. Now, all these help to increase the ad engagement, and what I would recommend is starting small but then testing these to see which ones help move forward. Okay, so the big one, once you're in the creative, so let's just quickly create the image ad we spoke about. So what you would do is select image ad, and then from there you would have existing media should you already have it, or you would click upload. Okay, now what you will be given is a series of options to enhance that advertising. Now this is relatively straightforward. You can add your logo, you can set a particular preference for fonts, and you can add your brand's colors. Okay, so once you've set your branding, we move into site links. For now, I wouldn't stress too much about site links, but just for quick reference, if you've got a couple of other web pages that you want to add to this, you can add them in there. And then predominantly, if you are in e-commerce, this is where you would add your products, but we're not going to go into that level of detail at this one. So once you've got those details, then you hit next, and you get what is called your placement. So meta ads tends to fall into 3 key categories when it comes to creative placement. You've got original, which tends to aim for a square. You've got vertical, which would be things like your stories and your reels, and you've got horizontal, which is your search results. The cool flexibility with meta ads is you can go in and you can adjust them to make sure that those advertisements are exactly as you would want it to be, and you don't end up with slightly squiffy images. That is one of the key reasons why a lot of small advertisers fail, which is they put in images and they don't check that quality of them. That loses people's attention quite quickly, and therefore we need to adjust that. So for example, as you can see here, this has had to automatically crop. You could ask it to crop to a particular square like that, or you could replace the image. So let's just quickly crop, apply. Then you've got quite a nice shot of the Merc. Vertical might be a little bit different, so you would tend to replace that. But if you don't have that time, again, you can just, and because it's a landscape image, the landscape image works quite well. Once you've done the creative aspect in terms of that, hit next. and we come onto text. So there are several different areas where text can be applied to your advertisements. Some of them appear on some advertisements, some don't. So the primary text is basically telling people exactly what it's all about. Now this will come up at the top of the Facebook post in a feed, as an example. It doesn't always appear. The next one is the headline. This is where you should be adding the key selling points of what you're trying to sell to people, what you're trying to promote to people, and you can add multiple options should you wish. So for example, we could add headline 1, and then you could add headline 2. And what this will do is Meta will then test both. And this is coming back to my point, which is it's all about testing, it's all about learning. So once you've got 2 on there, you would identify, okay, people are preferring this one to that one, so you get rid of the second one. Description is where you have the opportunity to add a little bit more selling point, a little bit more detail. Now, this doesn't always come up, but it's a really good opportunity to just add a couple of key selling points in there. Finally, you've got a massive range of different call to actions. So you could add in get a quote, you could add book now, contact us, download, whatever is particular to your particular ad. So let's add contact us for now, nice and green, nice and clean. Okay, now Meta has started, as every tech company, started to introduce AI into a number of things, and they call theirs Advantage Plus. Now, Advantage Plus is a great way to add much more creative to your advertisements without having to go through the laborious task of editing every single image. So I do recommend you try it out, see what works best for you. As you can see here, they've already taken our Mercedes image and they've created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 great looking images. So let's add next, let's select them all, apply, and add next. Finally, Meta Advantage Plus gives you what's called enhancements. Now, proceed with enhancements with caution. They are a fantastic way to add professionalism to any of your advertisements. They're a great way to enhance text, enhance images, etc. However, do check them, because Meta at the moment doesn't understand your brand, it doesn't understand your business. A good example is music. If you just let it add media, add music, it might not be the music that suits your brand tone of voice. So please make sure you check all these before you go through. Okay, once you're happy with that, simply click done. And now we have our creative setup. Now, because we've used Advantage Plus, it gives Meta much greater flexibility over where these advertisements would be placed. When starting out, as I mentioned before, I would give Meta that flexibility, that freedom to apply your images and place them where it feels appropriate. However, if you want to be a little bit particular about this, you can go into each section, each customization, and adjust. So for example, feeds, in-stream, and reel, you can go in, you can see that in action, you can adjust the text, you can adjust the images, etc. Alternatively, if you don't want it to come in feeds, you can simply scrub it out and it will clear those customizations. A good example of that is if you only want to promote your advertising on Instagram, perhaps we don't want to see it on Facebook feed, you would simply scrub Facebook feed. That's a good way to make sure that your money is spent exactly how you want it. However, based on how you're starting out, I would give Meta that flexibility, as I've mentioned, just to test a few things for you on your behalf. Treat it a bit like an autopilot for advertising. Okay, the last thing that we're not going to go in here, but we will post some guides, is tracking. Now, tracking is a little bit more technical than I'd like to go into at this point. But basically what you will apply is called a pixel to your website, and that helps place what are called cookies. But let's go into that in a different video that's a little bit more around that particular. Okay, once you've done all this, you can hit review just to do a very quick test, make sure everything's exactly what you wanted. Obviously find any particular areas that you're not happy with. So for example, these ad sets, so we need to quickly go in, need to edit, just check everything's exactly as we wanted. Okay, so we just need to view some terms, verify some changes, etc. Once you're happy with your advertisement, simply hit publish, and your advertisement is now live on Meta. Okay, so 3 things to take away from today. 1, always use Ad Manager. Don't use the Boost button. Boost is low effort, but it's also low reward. You'll get far more control for the same budget setting up an ad. 2, target locally. Set your location within 20 to 30 miles of your dealership. That's where your buyer is. 3, try keep the ad and the targeting simple at this point. 1 vehicle, 1 message, 1 call to action for that audience, and make sure when it comes to targeting, you don't go mad on the detail. Nice and simple at this point. test, learn, test again. That is how you get the most out of Meta. I hope you found this video useful. Like and subscribe for more useful information on how to make the most of digital marketing.